Okay, so out of the Redneck RV, I got this out. And when I started the restoration, I bought this steering wheel, and it was one that was in perfect shape. I've got the Jeep logo in the center. I just have to glue it in. I wanted to make sure it was straight before I glued it back in. I polished it and painted it. But this steering wheel looks just about brand new. The old one on it was all rough, and I wouldn't put it on until the alignment was done, because it was reminding me you got to do the alignment. All right, so I'm got down to the it's nighttime here, so the lights might look a little weird, but I thought I'd show you, if you ever lose your keys on your Jeep, you know, you got door locks on the half doors and everything, but if you just wanted to get going, I'm going to show you how to pull your cylinder out. You can go to AutoZone and buy a new one, or take it to a locksmith, which that's what I am, and they can cut a key. So I'm just going to show you how to remove the wheel and get the lock cylinder out. If it's worn out, this is how you do it. And then we're going to be installing the new steering wheel, and there's a reason I'm going to show you why I'm doing that. So I'm going to get started. One thing you're going to need is a steering wheel lock remover, plate, compressor set, blah blah blah. I think you can get one of these at Harbor Freight, or you certainly could get this at Home Depot. They're not very expensive, but these are what you need to take the steering wheel off, and also compress the plate to get the backing plate off. These are your standard bolts for the puller, and this is your puller here, and we'll put that on the steering wheel and I'll show you how it works. Okay, so basically you put your two bolts in the holes in the steering wheel, and then you start tightening this down, and it's going to press the steering wheel off of the shaft. I don't have the wrench with me, but I'm just going to do it this way. Now, I know the wheel wasn't put on very tight, so I'm just going to use a pair of ice grips just to ease it on off of there. Now, when I was building the Jeep, when I was working on the Jeep, I repainted all the steering column, so I had all this apart once before. So my bad. As a locksmith, you think I would know better to do what I'm going to do, but here we go. And then you just tighten down, and the wheel is off. Now, this wheel wasn't very tight, so it just came right off. So we've removed our wheel. Now, to get this portion off, this is spring loaded, and if you can look down in there, you can kind of see, get the light over here, you can see there's a ring in there right around that edge, and you have to press down on this to get that ring to come off. So let me get my puller set up and I'll show you what that looks like. Okay, so see, I've got my compressor plate on here, and it's pushing down on this black plastic piece. And then you're going to have to take, it's really hard with one hand, something sharp. Now, I buy these for locksmithing, but you can use an ice pick or anything that's sharp to get up underneath this. It's called a Stramer connector, right? And then once you get it popped up, then you can take a little screwdriver, doesn't have to be this little, and just see how I'm pressing up and work around until it pops off. Now, I'm going to go ahead and take that off, but sometimes these are kind of difficult. You got to kind of pry it up a little bit and then just kind of ease it around, and it'll pop off. Okay, once you get that, you can see that ring's loose. You can just basically pull this off, right? And then you've got your horn ring here. And then the rest of it is basically, and we're going to take this off. I'll have to get a little screwdriver for it, I think. Basically, you got like 4 screws. This one is for your turn signal arm. Once you take that screw out, you can just remove it. It just comes off. And once you get that off, you really just basically have 3 other screws to pull out that hold your turn signal assembly. You're going to have to just kind of turn it like you're going to turn the signals on. And then the 3rd one. So you get out your 3 screws there. And then you're going to take off your emergency turn signal button, because that's the only thing holding that part in. So that's off. And now you can just kind of wiggle, so as long as your screws are all out, now you can kind of wiggle your turn signal out. It helps if you push it. If you push it all the way down, it takes the tension off of it. Okay, so now I can see in there. If you look down in there, right here is a retaining, looks just like a slot. You basically press in on this and pull, and your cylinder will come out. Now that's your locked cylinder, and if it is the factory one, it will have the code stamped on the side of it. And because this one was probably from AutoZone at some point, there is no code on it. So I'm going to have to do a little more work to do what I want to do. But let's say you lost your keys and you wanted to drive your truck. At this point, you could go down to AutoZone and just buy another cylinder, or get on eBay and slide a new one in, and you're good to go. You put it back together. Alright, so that's done. The steering wheel is done. Done. And it looks really good. Got the new emblem in the middle, and it's painted. So I'm done with the steering wheel tonight. And if you wondered why I went ahead and took the column apart after I'd rebuilt it, it's because once I started the truck, I found out that the ignition key, that was the existing ignition key, and the door key were different, which was not the way that came from the factory. So, after an exhaustive search on the internet and finding obsolete parts, I was able to obtain the factory Jeep plastic-headed key that I'm going to duplicate. And then I found also some Chrysler ones that were used on a little bit later models. Didn't have the Jeep logo, but it had the Chrysler Pentastar. But this was the original key that came with the car, and you can't find them anywhere else. I just got lucky. So I'm going to cut it onto here, and then I will have a factory brand new. This is how the old one looked. It's all worn down, and this is what it looked like brand new. And now, oh, and I rekeyed the ignition to match the doors, so now it just takes one key. How cool is that? Okay, so that's what I was doing. I'm going to cut this in my truck, and I'll be done for the night. Alright, that's it for tonight. I got the steering wheel back on with a new emblem, and it looks really super cool. And I've got a key blank that is exactly like the factory original, which makes me anal retentive, obsessive compulsive. Yes. No. Anyway, it is super cool to have a factory style key blank for me, because it's a new Jeep for me. And it's just kind of a symbol to have the steering wheel on and the key cut. I saved these two things for the very end. I still got some more stuff to put on it, but as far as like finishing up, it's the steering wheel. I've got one dash piece to put on, and you know, fog lights and some other just accessory things. But as far as like the Jeep itself, done. New steering wheel is installed. It's a symbol. David from Redneck Garage. Keep turning wrenches.